Hey, IBC family. I'm in my office today, which is super crazy and weird on this Tuesday morning. But anyway, I am super thankful to kind of get back to some sense of normal for today, anyway. But I just want you to know that I'm continuing to pray for you and continuing to wish that we could be together. Today, we're going to talk about 2 Corinthians chapter 9. And walk through just what the Lord is teaching us through Paul's writings. And I think the main thing that this passage is about is the cheerful giver. And Paul says that whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountiful will reap bountiful. And I think Paul is yes, talking about our work, but he's also talking about the work that we do with unbelievers. So how, if we're going to sow in the lives of people sparingly, we'll reap sparingly. But if we sow bountifully in their lives, then we will reap bountifully in their lives. Each one of you must give as he's decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And I do think he's also talking about giving in the sense of monetarily, but also just giving of yourself and giving of your life and giving of your resources. And verse 8, and God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. God is able to make grace abound in you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. And so God is able to produce in you more and more grace so that you can abound, so that you can produce grace in other people's lives, so that you will have all sufficiency in all things at all times, so that that in you will abound the good work that God has for you. And so I think that in this time there's so much confusion and so much stress and so much anxiety, especially as we think about getting back together. I think there was anxiety going into being at home, and now there's anxiety in going to be back together. And I think in a time where we could just revert back to our comfortableness of being at home, knowing that God has given us the ability to love people regardless of what is happening, regardless of if we're at home, regardless of if we're going back to a regular schedule. God has given us the ability to make grace abound. God is able to make all grace abound to you. So he's given you grace, and for us to give grace wherever we go, to give cheerfully. And then also in verse 10, it says, he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. And so God is ultimately working all of these things together, all the things that he's given us. He who supplies the seed to the sower. So God is the one who supplies that seed to us, and the bread for food will supply and multiply our seed. And so we're so thankful that God has given us the ability to give, whether that be of our time, whether that be of our money, whether that be of our resources right now. We live in a time where resources are kind of limited, which is kind of weird. But to give of that. I know several of you have told me that you have found a project once a week to give to somebody else in some way. And so I think that that's amazing, and I think that you're doing an incredible job of loving people in the midst of this time. And so know that God is with you, and that God is making all grace abound to you in this time. So I hope that your reading is going well. I hope that 2 Corinthians chapter 9 has been meaningful to you, and that you find a way this week to give of your resources to someone else. We love you guys, and we miss you so much, and we'll see you soon.